and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hello, Coos County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. I'm sitting up here in the balcony at the Restoration Worship Center. We're getting ready to start the candidate interviews. Let's see if I can add this to the stage.
You're under arrest. Yeah, so you're under arrest now. So I'm like going, I'm liking all this stuff.
That is very odd. I can't seem to add this to the stage.
100 days coming up real quick.
Yeah, should have worn my things are getting better. Things can only get better hat.
Okay, well, we're going to go with the camera we have. This camera that was supposed to be working isn't working.
Find a seat.
I'm going to
go
switch
put
this
this
to the
stuff in
floor
car,
so you can see
I'm
the
not carrying
beginning of the meeting.
Carrying a rune. Woo. Swap.
Do you have flyers to put up?
There we go. People are starting to wander in.
Good evening.
6:30 in Bandon means 6:30, 6:40.
I'm doing good.
6:50, whenever we get to it.
What's that?
Did you go see Elmer at Avery?
I don't know. It was such a good idea to have
No, I
a
did not.
meeting when we're having
Someone
a
told me
live
that.
podcast.
False rumor.
Wow.
Nobody might show up
But
at the
I
meeting.
always like rumors when it makes me look good,
Because
though,
we're watching the
as
podcast.
opposed to the other ones. Oh, that's good.
So let's see here.
Rob,
Hi, don't bother me right now, but I'd love to talk to you later. And that was Teresa Avery, if all of you were wondering. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can get something here. There we go. All right. I'm back in. Back in. Okay, I'm heading upstairs. No, this is what happens when you get a group of people who just don't know how to start things. Oh, it's like they're all talking in the
So give me
lobby.
$5. Give me $5 worth.
It's crazy.
I know. That's why I want $5 or $5 worth. I'm so confused.
If anyone could hear
I
me,
tracked
how's
down a
the
bunch of
sound?
videos
out
for
there in the
hand
internet
counting, and because I was on a call with Cause of America folks and somebody else, and they gave us there's Linda Rance, who's like the hand counting gal, but she
Well, it's
has a website now
6:34, and we're
called
still waiting for them to shoot in.
returntohandcounting.com or something like that.
And
And there's a whole bunch of like good videos, and then I'll probably put on Tuesday.
let's see if I can do
And
this
then we can
again.
also, I'm sure Mary's going to put them on the
There's Teresa.
whatever that
Handing
downloader
out
doohickey
flyers.
thing is that you have. Yeah. And I've got 40 years.
everybody.
I still use that too.
If you don't know me, my name's Larry Blankenship. I'm the
Oh, yeah.
associate pastor.
Hey, David Marty.
Work today.
I've been at it. I've been retired
Heavenly Father,
probably
we
about
just
10
thank
years.
you for this time tonight, Lord. And I ask, Lord, that you will convict those that did not come and those who should come, that they will come, Lord. We need bigger crowds here like we had at the beginning, Lord. And I'm just saying that you will send them. I know you will, because you're a good, good God. And Lord, we want to get some of these things done. So just bless this time tonight. Lead it, Lord. You be the leader here tonight. And let us give you the glory in Jesus' name.
Amen. Yeah. So the company I worked for got bought by Morgan Stanley. So I just said, yeah, I'm not working for those guys. Yeah.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Play ball.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Glad everybody's here. Who's here? Thank you for coming. And we're very excited to have some local candidates here with us tonight. We have Matt Whitmer and Dave Heisel and Stan Avery, and Vanessa Rains is here, and Chris Castleman is here too.
Yay.
So we had a few that weren't able to make the schedule, so that was unfortunate. But so it's bad for the number of candidates that we're having, or not as good as it could have been, and but it's good for time. So that means these guys will have a few more minutes to speak what they need to speak, and we can deal with some questions and all of that. So I think the thing to do here really is just kind of, we should do the 50-50 raffle before we get underway with the candidate stuff.
Oh.
And since I didn't buy a ticket, I don't have a dog.
No dog in the hunt on that one.
Here, last four numbers is 3643.
3643.
3643 is the number.
I never win.
37.
Somebody's got it.
7.
3643.
Working on it.
3643. It's Vanessa. She said, put it back in the kitty.
Put it in the kitty.
All right.
Okay, and just so you guys know, we'll refresh on the money thing. We do have, I think we have about $700 or something like that. I don't know how much is here, but what we're planning to do with that next month, we're going to invite a speaker, and we will pay for the hotel room, and yeah, that's the kind of things that we do with that money. So, and anytime you want an accounting of that, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. That's not offensive in the least. It's all of our money, so we're accountable for it. There are some papers on the back table here. One of these, this one with the tiny print on it, is the list of cases that are currently filed against the Trump administration. If you want some wonderful bedtime reading, there's a few of these on the back table. And then there's these flyers that say vote for Whitmer, Avery, and Heisel. Did you have a hand in this? Yeah, she did. All right, thank you. That's a great job. And then we also have two of those. There's also some small ones. If you want to grab some of these and hand them out to your friends, that's good. That's for the Bandon School District. And then this is a sheet for the North Bend School District candidates, none of whom could make it tonight, unfortunately. So I'm going to give them a quick shout out. We've got Jim Jordan. We've got Dallas Piedenbrink. We've got Mary Schilling, of course, Rod Schilling's wife, and Julie Thies. And these are really stellar people that deserve our votes. So again, these are all on the back table. And please, if you see you're down to the last one, there aren't that many of them. just take a picture of it with your phone if you could, please. All right, so, yeah.
It is really crucial. If you know anyone in North Bend, to get them to vote. These people were warriors against this urban renewal.
Yeah.
They took it in the top, and the North Bend city people are going after
Yeah.
vengeance.
The mayor and the city manager in North Bend they went out early to find candidates, and they've been, there's been money and energy being poured into these liberal candidates. They want to reconfigure the North Bend School Board so that they can get the North Bend School Board to go along with their urban renewal project at the old county annex site. And, you know, I mean, it's a great project. It's a beautiful project, but should urban renewal dollars be used for it? I think we all agree the answer is no. And I'll just take one moment of privilege to talk about the county urban renewal, because this is kind of a hot topic, and I see all kinds of stuff being said on Facebook, which is, you know, really what it is, because people go on there and snipe their garbage, and then they say, oh, you won't talk. Well, you didn't call me. I don't have your number. You know, I mean, I'm the one you can look up on the internet. I don't know. So anyway, the county, the Board of Commissioners is in agreement that the county urban renewal district needs to go away. And this is the North Sphere urban renewal area, okay? But there's a problem. And the problem is that the road out there, the Trans-Pacific Parkway, is in desperate need of maintenance and repair for the heavy truck traffic that occurs out there, and development of additional businesses that are going to require more truck traffic. We're talking like 150 to 200 trucks a day across that road. And of course, they go in loaded and come out empty, or vice versa. And so they're heavy, you know, they're 85,000, 100,000 pounds. And the road is, to repair the road as it's needed is going to be, the top end of that is probably about $5 million, somewhere between 3.5 and 5 million. Right now, the urban renewal district has $2.8 million in the bank. Okay, so better than half what we would need to fix that road, and it can all be spent on that road. Okay, but it's not enough. And if we were to kill the urban renewal district today or tomorrow, because it's close of business today, but so if we were to do, Monday, I guess, if we were to do that, what would happen is there's about $1.8 million of that 2.8 that would go right back to the state. And the reason that it would go back to the state is because the urban renewal district took money from the school districts, and school districts by state dictate cannot be defunded. And so what the state does is they go in and backfill the funds that the school district lost to urban renewal. Okay, so the state's not going to let us keep that money. They want to be made whole on what they backfilled to the schools. And so what we're trying to do is figure out a way to not pump $1.8 million back to the nut house in Salem. And because they don't know what to do with that money. All they'll do is spend it on some kind of woke leftism, or, you know, coming after conservatives or something, you know. We need that road fixed, and the county cannot afford to fix it, obviously. You know, we're in desperate straits. So what we're trying to do is figure out a plan to get that road fixed if we possibly can, and kill the urban renewal at the end of that. If we kill it before that, we just lose that money. There's nothing we can do about it. So this is new information since I came out and said, yeah, we got to kill it. Absolutely. Well, this is a complication. This is a legitimate issue that isn't a conservative liberal thing. Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe it is, but But to me, the conservative thing is to hang on to our money, utilize it for our local infrastructure that supports industry, that supports the economy of this county, because that's what we really need. So if anybody has any input or ideas on that at any time, please do reach out and let me know. But I just wanted to kind of update. Any quick questions on that topic? Yes, Lawrence.
So once you take out the urban renewal.
You know what? We're streaming, so let me put you on the house for that, okay?
So once you refuse those funds for urban renewal, will the funds come back to the county in a different way?
So once the urban renewal is shut down, if we were to shut it down on Monday, the county would get $348,000 one-time refund out of that bank account. That's one-time money. We can't budget. We can't hire. We can't open the jail with it. It's one-time money. So, and then on an ongoing basis, the sustainable money that would come to the county rather than going to urban renewal would be $52,000. So it's about enough to hire, it's about 60% of a deputy salary. I mean, all the costs of having one deputy. So it's like not much, right? I mean, we'll take it and we'll kill the urban renewal because we do want that 52,000, but I want everybody to know that it's not going to fix our problem. Right? You got to follow up, and then Vanessa's got a question, and then we'll go to the candidates.
So if you don't cut the urban renewal, would you then have more funds in the future to do things that need to get done, like?
So if the urban renewal district remained intact, then it could do further work out there. Yes, but we haven't identified any other projects besides that road that really are legitimate. My view, and I know Commissioner Sweet's view, and I think Commissioner Farmer shares this view as well, that that other upgrades to infrastructure out there that are required for any new industry coming into the North Spit is probably whoever's coming in to develop that additional venture probably has the pockets to do the infrastructure development that they need. So the taxpayer should not be paying for those companies, for those industries to come in. Okay, Vanessa had a question.
It's kind of twofold. Isn't there a state park out there?
Yeah.
And don't we pay gas tax, and don't those truckers pay for fuel tax for those to be maintained?
So yes, there is a state park out there. It's a boat ramp, and I think the state would like to get rid of it. I don't know if the county would be interested in taking it over. If it was a profitable venture for the county, we would look at that. But fuel taxes, yes, do pay. Fuel taxes is pretty much exclusively that, and timber money is what funds the road department. The road department is not in the general fund. It's a totally separate fund in the budget. And so the yes, the roads department is funded that way, but we still don't have the money to do those road repairs. I mean, good grief, we can't fix the potholes on Tom Smith Road. I mean, how are we going to do a $5 million repair on the Trans-Pacific Parkway out of the roads department budget? It's not. It ain't going to happen anytime soon until we see a restoration of the O&C timber funds. So, all right, David has got to ask a question. So, David, what's the question?
You can repeat my question.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. Yeah, make it short though. I have a short memory.
If you use the funds now for the renewal funds to repair the road.
Yeah.
then you keep the urban renewal thing intact, then maybe you write a proposal for keeping the urban renewal thing intact with a plan to replace the section that was repaired as a future urban renewal project. So then you would have a future project.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that because I don't want to keep the urban renewal district going. The only reason, again, that I would favor keeping it intact for a short time would be to effect the repairs on the road, and that's it. I wouldn't break it in, and I wouldn't break it into pieces, and I wouldn't break the project into pieces, and I wouldn't be in favor of any reason to extend the life of the URD beyond that. So,
Well, I mean, there's a way to get that road repaired and then get it repaired properly, but if it makes sense to do that, then I understand.
yeah. Okay, so there's your urban renewal update. So without further ado, let's hear from some candidates. So what I've told the candidates is there's a microphone right here. Are you gonna just hold that, or is that just
Rob has asked me to put this lav mic on the lapel of the person speaking so that it can also be on.
Okay.
There's another microphone on the.
Yeah, okay.
But
So we're gonna use the lapel mic for the candidates speaking, and let's just go. There's no particular order. But let's start. I know that Dave Heisel has to leave at 7:30, so let's let him go first. And if you guys can, I'm gonna ask you to go about 10 minutes or so, talk about yourself, and then a little change up. I planned to hold questions until the very end and have all the candidates up here to answer the questions, but Dave won't be here for that. So let's change it up. And as soon as Dave's done with his 10-minute spot, then we can pop a few questions at him, and then we'll do it that way, just one at a time. Okay.
Can you hear me? You got me?
Can you hear me now?
Am I good?
There you go. Dave Heisel.
Am I holding this too? Okay.
Yeah, so the microphone in your hand is for the room, and the microphone on your lapel
For
is
him.
for the front.
Okay.
We're streaming broadcast going out to 5 different.
Hopefully a couple thousand people. Who knows?
Five different people all over the place.
All right. Well, my name is David Heisel. I'm currently the chairman of the school board here in Bandon. Thank you. This is my third term as the chairman, which isn't typical. The reason why I asked to continue going is we're right in the middle of trying to bring affordable housing to the city of Bandon. The school district owns some land that is connected with land owned by the city of Bandon. And we came together as two organizations to work together through a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that we would try to bring the Bandon people affordable housing. And we are offering that land up as our equity into the project to help buy down the cost of building a bunch of homes. And I know that's one of the key issues for almost every community in America is affordable housing. I mean, how do you have strong workforce if you can't hire because people can't afford to live in your community? And right now in Bandon, I believe the average home's going for about $700,000. So tell me what young person can afford that? So anyhow, so that's why I've continued on as the chairman. And of course, I'm being challenged right now in my seat. So position number one, I hope that you'll vote for me. I didn't really prepare anything, but I thought I would just tell you a little bit about me and tell you a little story. First of all, my wife, Christina, she works at the pharmacy. She's a pharmacy technician at Coos Community. We met in 2001 in Coos Bay. We'll be married 20 years in August. We have two beautiful daughters, Maya, who just graduated last year from Bandon High School, and Tasia, who's an 8th grader. My hope is that I can stay on. I kind of promised the girls that I would have the privilege of handing them their diploma, being on the school board. And I got to do that last year. And there was a lot of side bets as if I was going to be crying like a little baby out there. And I did not cry during the ceremony, but it was tough. But so I'd really like to go another 4 years and hand my second daughter her diploma as well. As far as politics, I'm not really going to get into that because I think you'll pick up on who I am as a person, and that's the story that I wanted to tell you. I guess it's just a short testimony, and I've been thinking about this a lot because sometimes I ask myself, like, why do I do this to myself? Why do I volunteer on the boards that I've volunteered? And I've spent thousands and thousands of hours in this community volunteering. I've been a director for the Chamber of Commerce. I've been a director for Greater Bandon Association. I've been a member and then became the president of the local Kiwanis Club. I'm a Rotary member. I'm a coach. I've coached soccer, basketball, baseball. I'm currently coaching softball right now for 14U girls, and then the school board. I have 2 businesses that I'm trying to run, sometimes not so successfully because I'm just really kind of stretched thin. If I'm being honest with you, it's a challenge. So I ask myself, like, why do I keep doing this? Why am I putting myself into stressful situations? And being on the school board is a very stressful situation at times. And here it is, and it's a short testimony. So I came from a broken home. My mom and dad got divorced. I think I was 8. I was the oldest of 3 kids. I have 2 little sisters, and then dad was out of my life for a while, and we got visitation in the summers and whatnot. And so home life wasn't that great. And as a young man, I turned to drugs and alcohol. I got jumped into a gang in middle school. So I was basically a little thug, a little heathen. I was stealing, and by 12, I was doing drugs and alcohol. 12 years old, I was sexually active and doing drugs and alcohol on a regular basis. So basically looking at my life, and it kind of was a joke in my family for a while there that he's either going to be in prison or he's going to be dead, as a young man. And that's the direction that I was headed in for sure. At one point, even so it got so bad, I was living with my mom most of my life after the divorce, and it got to be too much for my mom to handle me. And so I remember one day she said, you're moving with your dad. And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, we can't do this anymore. And so I moved in with my dad. My dad was a Christian man, read his Bible every day, always tried to tell me about the Lord. At that time, I wasn't wanting to hear it, and I didn't care basically anything he had to say. And one day, after a little while, my dad says, hey, we're moving to Florence, Oregon. I got a job in Florence, and I'm taking you kids with me. We were living in Washington at the time. And so we got a U-Haul, and we packed up all of our stuff, and we hit the road for Florence, Oregon. And we show up in Florence. My dad had a van, like a cargo van at the time. And he had his best friend and his best friend's wife were in Florence. That was the connection there to Florence. And so we get there, and my dad's job falls through. So what do? Well, we don't have money, and we don't have a home now. So my 2 little sisters moved in to a spare room and shared a spare room at my dad's friend's place. And my dad and I lived in that van. And I just, most of my stuff was still in storage in Washington. I didn't have a whole lot of clothes. We didn't have money to buy clothes. We would shop at the secondhand store. And remember the past that I told you, I'm not a good kid. I've been doing lots of stupid stuff, and that's why he's trying to get me out of that, right? But now here I am living in my dad's van. And every night my dad would preach to me, and he would try to pray and try to talk about the Bible, and I just didn't want to hear it. And this went on for a couple months. And then I remember one night, whatever happened in my heart, I just said, God, if you're real, show me. Because look at what's going on. show me that you're real, because right now I don't see it. And literally the next day I went to school. I came home from school. My dad says, hey, I got some news. I got a call from somebody. They said they heard about our situation. And there's a local church right down the street there in Florence. They bought a home right across from the church, and it's in disrepair. And they know I'm a handyman, and they're going to give us the home to live in. All we have to do is fix it up. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is the next day after I said that. Okay, so be careful what you say to God, because he'll show you. And so that was the point where I turned my life over to God. And obviously there's 45 years of history, you know, so this story I could add and go on forever. But, you know, my life really began to change. I remember showing up to school, and I had started that school year in Florence really kind of hanging out with the same type of people that I had just left. But I remember after that experience, I'm looking around going, you know, nobody knows me here. I can be whoever I want to be. I don't have to be this kid anymore that is always getting in trouble. In fact, I don't really like these people. It doesn't feel good to be stoned every day and try to go to school. And, you know, just something snapped. And so I'm like, I like those kids. I want to be one of those. And it happened to be a group of kids that went to a local youth group there at that same church. And so it really transformed me, really changed me in the way that I had such a unique upbringing where as I became solid in my faith, I realized that I now have a story. I have a way to connect with people that are really broken, really hurting, really lost. I can go into relationships that where I can connect with someone that's been down that path, and a lot of people can't. If you've never been a drug addict, you probably are going to have a hard time connecting with a drug addict on a level to where you can have a conversation and tell them about your faith. And so I've used that throughout my entire life as a way to honor my God. I've used my testimony, and I've used the things that he has given me, and I try to give back, and I try to serve. So really that's it. Why do I serve on the school board? It's because the Lord gave me a set of skills. Now I'm a bank manager, believe it or not. I manage 2 banks now. I've been the manager of Banner Bank in Bandon for almost 11 years, and I just became the dual manager of North Bend. So I'm doing both. I own a business, Tony's Crab Shack. Purchased that in 2023, and I just really feel like the Lord has given me the skills and ability to go out, and then when it comes to kids, now I can go to kids and say, hey, here's my story. You know, I know you're going through tough times. There's a lot of kids that have really broken homes and are going through really incredibly hard things. And I can connect with those kids, and I can show them that there's hope. And I can show them that if they make the right choices, they could be standing in a position like me, which I would have never dreamt. God has done so many amazing things in my life. It's only by his grace that I'm even standing here. Any of us, obviously, but it's just an amazing thing what has happened. And so for me, I feel like I have to give back. I have to serve. I have to honor the Lord in that way. I love children. I put myself in their way on a regular basis. I'm very intentional about it. I don't know, does anybody know about Bandon Young Life? Have you heard of Young Life before? So Young Life's a organization that's all over the world, and their thought is that instead of trying to get kids to come to church, they go out to where the kids are, and they build relationships with those kids, and they earn the right to be heard. They earn those kids respect just by showing up in their lives. So I helped start Bandon Young Life. I think it was 2018. I was not really a founder, but one of the people in Bandon, there was a group of us that came together and said, hey, we're going to do this ministry. And we raised like $80,000 the first year, which was amazing, well past our target. And then we were intentionally going out to sporting events and just showing up. And learning the kids' names, giving them high fives, and just being a positive adult in their life. And over time, as you build those relationships with kids, they start to confide in you, they start to trust in you, they look up to you, they ask you for advice. And I tell you, I've had some of the most amazing relationships with children here in Bandon, and I wouldn't trade it. So as hard as it is sometimes to be on the school board, I feel like I have to keep going, you know? So that's my story. If you have any questions, I'll take questions, but I think we're probably pretty close to
Question time. Anybody have a question for David?
Lourdes. Oh, by the way, Lourdes has been absolutely amazing to us. I thought she was going to run, but she has too many commitments. But what she did do is she said, I will help you with your campaign. And I am stretched so thin for time that Lourdes has just poured out a whole bunch of her time to help do flyers and ads. And she's just been really encouraging. I know she's praying for me, and I just appreciate you, Lourdes. Thank you.
So this question was brought up to me from someone on Nextdoor about what is happening in terms of the housing. So you're saying that the school district put up the land. That was the end of the school district.
Yeah.
Are you now waiting like for the planning commission to do something, or where is that?
We've went through, so the stage that we're at right now is trying to nail in the final concept. Once we have the final concept, then we can go to the community and present it. Once we've done that, then we can go to the planning commission, which they're doing other work. They're working on zoning and stuff in the city right now currently. But the stage that we're at right now is just trying to get the developer to show us a plan that will work for Bandon, so that we can now go out and show the community what we're trying to do.
So how much longer before you get something from the developer? Do you?
Well, we thought we had it 2 weeks ago, but there was one design. Well, if I'm using Tory Contreras, the city manager, he would call it a design flaw. There was something in the design that he did not like, and so he asked them to go back to the drawing board. And we're hoping maybe within the next week we could see what's hopefully the final, because we've been through like 5 iterations.
So this developer that we have in place currently, is that based on already other developers not wanting them because they weren't your choice? Or is there more than one developer?
So we put it out for bid. Originally, there was, I believe, 8 or 9 developers that bid on the project. There was a committee of us that decided which developer we would like to go through or use, and we did it based on points. So we looked at each proposal from each developer, and we had a point scale, and so we'd mark down the points, and then we'd average those out, and that told us which developer we were going to go with. The developer that we've chosen is the one that we feel has the most desire to help the city of Bandon. Also, this person has, they have their own finances, so they're bringing in their own money to do the project. It's a $25 million project. We don't have any money to put into it at all. Like we're not putting a dollar into it. The only money that we have spent thus far is a little bit of legal counseling, but it's been very minimal, like probably less than $1,000. I can't remember your original question, so I don't know if I've answered it. But the developer was chosen based on us feeling like it was best aligned with our city, with our needs, and the least amount of red tape out of all the other projects. So I hope we were correct in that. One more thing on the developer is they made a recent change in their architect. The original architect for the project just wasn't showing us something that we thought would fit in Bandon. And so he actually went out and he got Hayden Homes and Simplicity. Simplicity's their more streamlined, more affordable housing. But Hayden Homes has built thousands of homes all across the Pacific Northwest. They have built beautiful neighborhoods. If you go to Bend, you can see their neighborhoods. They build really nice homes. They're really affordable. Now we've got them on board, so they're going to be actually building the homes for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the land has, what is the end game for the school board? Are they gonna sell these so that there's taxpayers? Or are you renting these out? What is the plan? Is this a revenue stream for the school district?
It's probably going to be a mix, and it hasn't been completely fleshed out yet. There's a lot of work to do on that. Most of the units, most of the individual homes, the 3-bedroom homes, 2-bedroom homes, they're going to be sold. But they're going to be sold in a way that people can't just come in, buy a vacation home, and then max out their profit, sell it for a huge number. It's going to be capped. So they're only allowed to earn a certain amount of equity into the home each year. And that's going to be done through a community land trust, which I've learned a lot about recently. But it will allow us to make sure that we're actually meeting the needs of the Bandon people, instead of just getting people to come buy investment properties in Bandon and then have them be empty homes when they're not being rented as vacation rentals. Because that's what we don't want to do. That would be a terrible, terrible mistake. It'd be bad for the taxpayers, and we cannot do that. So there will be a phase. There's going to be 2 phases. Phase 1 will have roughly 50 homes, and then there's going to be an apartment complex in the back. The apartment complex will be rented out. The homes will be for sale. What we would like to see is some of those homes be controlled by the school district in one way or another, whether it be we own the home and lease it to teachers or lease it to administrators. We haven't quite gotten that far, but we know that we have to maintain control of a certain percentage of units to actually fix our problem. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna have, I guess, now I'm the guy that carries the mic, so we got time for one more question. Anybody else have a question? And I guess that is a no. So
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Oh.
I've known David for a number of years.
You got it. Okay.
Where's my lapel?
Okay.
How do I put this
Looks
on?
like Stan is our next. I know. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Stan Avery.
The gypsy's husband.
Yeah. First time
Yeah.
I've met him.
Okay, where's David? Did he leave? Right, okay, David, I've known you for years. We never knew. That's an amazing story. It just made me want to cry. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so when 4 years ago on the school board, it was a cakewalk. It was like, it was a unanimous vote fiesta, and then that changed, in attrition and other voting and things like that, and it has evolved from a unanimous fun fest into a battle, and it's a serious battle for the children in our school district. And by the way, concerning that land over there, because on the school board we've been talking about this for a long time. And the idea was not to create a cash stream, but a people stream of people to be working in the school district and for the hospital to strengthen the community in that way. That's the main motivation, the idea. Anyway, so I spent the afternoon today as an interesting adventure hanging out with 5th graders. And it was quite an interesting experience, and because I'm like David, it's like, oh boy, sacrifice lamb. Another 4 years on the school board, and we just finally got my 100-year-old father into a retirement home, and so Teresa and I are ready to launch all kinds of adventures. But I'm going to have to be back here every month for school board meetings, and it's really important. But I just sat there and I had a really great time with a whole bunch of these kids. Interacting with them about their science projects. It was fascinating, but it was like I just saw these children, and it really made it palpable to me and poignant that there is so much at stake. Now, our community is candidly divided pretty evenly between people that are what are called progressive, people called conservative, and then a whole bunch of people in between that aren't interested in either one. And so it's pretty much divided that way. But I can say, I mean, you guys, I don't know if you remember, I got elected over a popular incumbent just because I guess that's what the community thought of me. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't even run. What did we do? I put out some signs and had a great time on the radio with Rob Taylor one time. That was a lot of fun. And so I got elected because this is what people wanted. That's kind of our system. And but there is a lot at stake with these children, because even people on the left, you know, that are amenable to the idea of children being exposed to things that the conservatives wouldn't want children exposed to, that doesn't mean that they want it done in the public schools. You know, a lot of parents, they love their kids and they're protective, and they would rather that they control their children's exposure to ideas that we would consider people on the conservative would rather that children were not exposed to, you know, like transgenderism, things like that. And so there's a lot of parents that just don't think that this kind of stuff has any place in public school. And I was just talking to all these children this afternoon. I just thought, oh, there's a lot at stake. This is a war, and so I'm game, you know, to get this done. And anyway, so that's I would actually be a lot more interested in hearing from the others than me, because I've already heard me, quite frankly. And so I'd rather hear from the other guys. I wanted to mention very briefly, I was asked to publish this thing right here. I do a lot of writing, and ironically, science research and writing, even though I'm just like a plumber, you know. And so, yeah, right, yeah. But anyway, so I was asked to write this, and it's hot off the press. I put a stack of them out there if anybody wants one. Now, this is something that will make, if you're this has nothing to do with public school, but it has everything to do with science. And if you are inclined to believe in evolution, this will make you nervous. And if you're inclined toward creation, it will make you dangerous, quite frankly. It's designed to arm people, but it's a lot of fun. A great read, stuff you had no idea. Anyway, there's a few of them out there, and so I am open to questions. But you guys know me. I mean, what is this? You know, and then I'd like to hear from somebody else quickly. So I'm abbreviating my time, which I know is contrary to my nature.
So you gotta give him that. He knows when to, like, okay, everybody knows it. So does anybody have a question? Because I'm the guy that's supposed to wander around and put the microphone in your face so that it can get on the stream and it can get on the speakers as well. So, and there's Danessa.
I'm always good for a good question.
Don't forget to Mike.
Danessa, we count on that.
I'm still standing here.
What do you think the biggest challenge right now, present, for the school board right now in Bandon?
Yeah, good. Okay, it's twofold, and as far as the, you know, our job, we are there because of the children, and if we're there for any other reason, then that's sad. But it would be twofold. One is that you know, public education is still an experiment historically, and so there's a lot of moving parts involved in that. But we want the children to be conserved with regard to good moral values, and we want that to be that's the bailiwick of the parents. So we want the parents to be controlling that and to be involved in teaching those things. We don't want to be teaching social engineering ideas to these children. We just want to educate them. And I am so happy to have the Department of Education. They put the kibosh on that, because it has been nothing but a drag on education nationally. Education should be local. If you go back historically, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the graphs, but like literacy is just going like this. I remember over the years, people will confide in me in their homes. I'm the plumber, and I'm in everybody's house. They hate it, but they love it. Oh, the plumber's finally here. And so all the school teachers, I would be fixing their plumbing, and I'd be like talking to them and finding out. And the stories that I have heard over these last 2.5 decades from the teachers is heartbreaking about how there's just like this decline of literacy every year, and just we're losing ground. We need to gain ground in literacy, and one way to do that is to get rid of all of the debilitating bureaucracy that floats down from the state and national, and just let teachers teach. And I'm an old guy, as you can tell. I remember what school was like, and I remember we had, there were pretty high standards, and I of course. And I'm not going to go on a tangent there, but the thing is, I would like us to get rid of the superfluous, non-educational stuff that is being infected into the public school system, and just get back to focusing on, we've got to create literacy. We've got to create curiosity in these children, and that's a challenge, because that's what happens is, like, we, of course, I've been told this, and it's true. I admit it. As a school board member, I don't have skin in the game. I homeschooled all my kids and my grandkids. I've got 30 grandchildren, and the ones around here, they're being homeschooled. So I admit it, but I want our population to be educated, and the way that we would just like make our children, we would cultivate curiosity in them and make a bunch of good books available, and they were just on it, and they became literate. All but one of our girls, the first one, became literate before we would have even gotten around to teaching them to read and write. Yes.
Is reading currently required for homework in the elementary school level?
Is reading
Currently required for reading, like 15 minutes to 20 minutes a night for homework required at the elementary school level?
David, could you address that? I don't think so.
I think, honestly, since COVID, I think homework has been.
Yeah, we're still. I'm not sure if we're still in recovery for COVID, or if that's just being used as a cover for incremental losses. But I don't really create the curriculum, so I don't really know. I like our superintendent though, but we have a nice library in the school, but we're competing with something that I didn't have to compete with as a teacher, and that is the internet, which is dumbs kids down. You'd think it should be a really good educational tool, but it just doesn't seem to work that way. You end up like a YouTube and Facebook zombie. Okay.
So just want to suggest, as a retired teacher,
Please.
that they did find in elementary school that homework did not show results, except in the area of reading. So the children reading every night, like having a reading log where they just write down the book they read.
That's a great idea. I mean, I did. My mother worked in the children's room at the Corvallis Library. I buried myself in books for a decade, and so that was my education. It was just reading. I read so much. I would read encyclopedias. It was that bad.
And another thing as a teacher that I did for my students who did not have the resources at home, or whose parents did not take them to the library, is just send home a little Ziploc bag with 5 books a week at their reading level, so that they themselves can take the initiative to read at home, even when they don't have a parent or someone who can read with them.
Yeah, of course, as a former educator, by the way, I don't answer this, but how come you resigned? How come you're not still teaching? Don't answer that, All right. Anyway, so I'm retired too, so I understand that. But now a lot depends on, like one factor in the failure of public education and you can't ignore this, is the failure of the family structure in our country, a 50% divorce rate, and you can't fix that. You can't bandage that together, because if you don't have two parents in the home, like the reason I got my homework done was because I had two, you can imagine, two parents in the home, and they knew all my teachers, so whew, I got it done. But anyway, so without that, without a parent that really is on board, it's not that they don't love their children, but they're, sometimes people's lives, like David's before he repented, are a little bit out of control, and the children end up as the Bible says, the parents have eaten sour grapes and their children's teeth are set on edge. It has an impact. So anything else? Good. Now we can go on to somebody else.
Ta-da.
Thank you, Stan.
And these are back there if you want to read one.
Appreciate you stepping up and running for another your term. Matthew Whitmer serves the community. On
No,
the
I keep
police
this.
force.
I'm gonna have to talk to Rob about that one.
And now,
There you go.
decided to step up and run for the school board as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Don't forget, I want to actually answer that question that you asked about the home reading. So we'll get to that. Many of you know me. Some of you are new as well. My name is Matthew Whitmer. I'm 39 years old, married. I have 3 children here in the Bandon School District, along with 3 nieces and 1 nephew, also in the Bandon School District. My family moved here in 1985 when I was just under a year old. So Bandon has been my home, is what I call it. Graduated in 2004, graduated Western Oregon University, moved back to Bandon, which is where I wanted to live and raise my family. I've done a number of jobs. After college, I moved back and pursued a career in law enforcement here at Bandon. I didn't feel I was quite ready for it. I took a hiatus, I guess you would say. I worked a little over a decade for my family's business here in town, which is in its 2nd generation of ownership. My sister bought it from my folks who retired just a few years ago, moved back from Texas, because this is where she wanted to live and work as well. After that, I still had the inclination of going back into law enforcement. I was hired on at the Coos County Sheriff's Office in 2018. I worked a little over 4 years there as a patrol deputy. I loved it. It was great. But Bandon was always the place I called home, and that's where I wanted to work. Position opened up here, and double-edged sword that Chief Dillon took over as the chief, and I've worked with him through several cases, and we both also work as active members of the what's called the ERT, which is the county SWAT team, which we've both been on for several years. I knew he was going to be a great chief, and that on top of wanting to work here in the community I live in was just a bonus. So that's what I wanted to do. I was promoted a little over a year ago to patrol sergeant. Since then, we have grown our department up to staff +1. We have worked diligently with Bandon Dunes with a memorandum of understanding as well to fund another officer. And so that will be opening up another position here, hopefully later this summer, which will be more positions than Bandon Police Department's had in several years. That was Chief Dillon's idea. I helped him with the proposal and the pitch basically, and took some time, but over time it worked. So my biggest thing, not just as a public servant, but more importantly as a father and an uncle, safety is of the utmost importance to me in the school. I've put on trainings. I've had the honor of training our young department, all new officers other than one, to train them in the schools. Several of the trainings that have happened, we've walked through, and I've heard officers that have worked here for several years say, I didn't know this room connected with this room. It got me thinking that in that day, God forbid, that we have a crisis and we have to respond. Most likely, realistically, it would be one officer responding. hopefully 2. It would be over by the time county deputies most likely got there. And so in preparation, hopefully that day never comes, I wanted our officers to be as prepared, trained, and ready for anything that they came upon. So we have worked very well with them. We have also installed daily walkthroughs of all the schools, Ocean Crest, Harbor Lights, and Bandon High School. Every day, as you can probably see, there's a police car outside of the school at one time or another. We walk through the schools. We are not marching through. We meet the office staff. We walk through the halls. We play basketball with the kids. We sit in on their classes. I got to help with some science projects. That was a blast. It's a lot of fun. So my biggest thing was I want them to see us as partners in the community, not as the big scary 6'3" guy that walks in with a bunch of gear on that looks terrifying. It started out that way. It was difficult. It was new to them, bad experiences, home lives, things like that come into play. And the biggest thing for me was I wanted to overcome that hurdle. And now I am known as Officer June's dad. So my daughter's name is June. So, which is fine by me. I love that name. So it's a good feeling. We've had teachers and staff so supportive of us being in the schools. And being a part of that, I've always been considered myself a hard worker. I was taught by my parents to work hard and put 100% into everything you do. And that's what I do. And also, if you want to stand on the sidelines and complain about anything, you're more than welcome to. But I really don't care to listen to it unless you're willing to get involved. And that's what I'm doing. So being in the community and being the patrol sergeant here in Bandon, I am very busy. It is. It's a very obviously taxing job and time consuming. On top of that, spending time and making time for my family. But I knew that Bandon School Board was something I wanted to do for a long time. And when I felt I was ready and talked with my wife about it, she kind of asked me the same thing, like Dave went over, why? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to go? And you have no time as it is. And quite frankly, by the end of it, I didn't have an answer. I just said I need to. I have a lot invested in the schools and a lot invested in the community. And it's not really why would you do it, it's why not. That's what I wanted to do. So that being said, I'm new to the board if I'm elected. So I've done quite a bit of research on what they've done so far. And honestly, it's on a great path. You get great ideas. I think we have to keep going in that direction and to be able to continue moving forward with that. It's very similar to our police department with housing. Our own chief does not live here in town. So the on-call guy gets called out a lot, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. But I would love to see affordable housing. We actually have myself and only 2 other officers live here inside the city limits. And basically that was because of luck. They were able to find extremely good deals on housing. So we would eventually love to have all of our officers live in town here, and that would be ideal and be more committed. They are committed, but more involved in the community. So I'm along those lines too, along with affordable housing. The rest of it, some of the things that I've noticed in the schools and things like that is, like Stan brought up, is just being able to communicate with people. A lot of these kids, I've sat in and listened to them give presentations and things like that, and they don't have the confidence. They don't have that confidence, and I think that is two-pronged. One, at home, you have to have that reinforcement from your family. You do, from your parents. I was lucky enough to have 2 great parents that taught me discipline and hard work, and that's what I instill on my children as well. Bandon is my town. I love it. I protect it. I love working whatever shift I get and protecting the city I grew up in and love and the people in it. And basically, why not move forward and protect even more into the schools and have kind of your hand in the pot to be able to try to facilitate change and positive change in the schools. Some of the things that people have approached me after I put in for the candidacy was to, well, what do you want to do? And what's your slogan and things like that? Well, I don't have a slogan. I don't. I'm not really that way. Ironically, on the way here, I kind of thought about it, and I guess a slogan would be kind of cool. So I thought, why not back to basics?
Yeah.
There you go.
Back to basics. The basics. Thank you. The basics, like Stan said, you know, reading. My lovely daughter, June, is in 2nd grade. She's a great kid, full of energy and life, smart, hardworking, very, very dedicated and driven to learn. But to answer your question earlier, there is no assigned reading in 2nd grade. So I assign reading. And at bedtime, she reads a page, I read a page. She reads a page, I read a page. And if I'm on night shift, my wife or my stepsons do. So it's all family involvement. And I think that if it can't be done at home, it needs to be done at school. I thought that was a great idea you said of sending books home with kids. I think that's awesome. Working with her on math problems. Realistically, math wasn't my favorite subject, but my dad is very good at math. So when we go visit Grandpa, it's a game, you know. So Grandpa puts math problems together on a tablet or on a scroll, and my daughter solves them, and there's always some type of prize. So it's just fun. You got to make it fun for them. The other thing that I've thought about with the school system is, if at all possible, getting our test scores up and our graduation rate up. I would love to see that more. Preparing them for whatever future they have. Not every one of our students are going to go to college or want to go to college. I'm all for that. Okay, I say that as a college graduate, but there's several other trades in this world that people are driven to. Several other good friends of mine's children have graduated and now make well over 6 figures right out of high school with trades, heavy equipment operating, truck driving, trades like plumbing, electrician, construction, whatever it may be. I'm all for that. I don't think you have to go to college to be successful. If that's your choice and that's what you want to do, I'm all for it. Absolutely. Thank you. But with that, it does look good on a resume. It does. It look good on mine. So, but with that, preparing each student for their individual goals in their future. And quite honestly, that's what we're trying to get them ready for, right? For whatever future they have. If they go in the military, absolutely, I support them. If they want to go straight out of high school into college, great. I wish you the best. I hope you get your degree and get the job and the career you want and are successful. No different with the trade. So speaking with trade individuals here in town briefly, they're all for it. I would love to have another hands-on, you know, work study during school hours, meet up with them, have another hand on a job, and they're shadowing you and learning what you're doing. They're getting a head up and a leg up on the competition later on when they're applying for a job. So that's one thing that interests me as well, to try to instill on the schools. My oldest stepson, Bridger, who's a junior, is an excellent welder. He has won competitions up at SWAC in his sophomore year for welding and for metal cutting and construction. He actually constructed a table that's in the high school library. I recommend anyone go in there and look at it. It's a beautiful wood table with a epoxy finish with rock in the center. He made all of it. He made that. He welded the steel base on the bottom. It's absolutely incredible. He's done such a great job, and I support him 100%. Straight A student. He's been in the band since freshman year, and they've been state champions 2 years in a row, hopefully 3 this year. And that's something that he has a love and a drive for. And if he continues that into a career later on after high school, I couldn't support him anymore. I really do. He's a great kid, and he's going to do great things. So other than that, I'm new. So I'm new to the school board, and I would look forward to being on the school board, working with David. A couple other little things. I've been on some other boards. I worked on the Cranberry Festival Committee since I was actually a little kid. My dad was on the Cranberry Festival. So when I was a little kid riding my bike, I would help him set up tents and barricades and help vendors set up. And then later on, worked on the board with planning and positioning of tents and trucks and things like that. I worked on the executive board of the Chamber of Commerce for several years with one of the candidates or one of the school board members, Angela, who's on there as well. I'm versatile in working with anyone, no matter their views. I don't mind. I'm in a confrontational business, I guess you could say. I am the complaint department. So with that being said, different views don't scare me. I think the only thing that scares me is the lack of communication. If you don't communicate and the communication shuts down, that's when we start going in very bad directions and the ability to have progress. So that's my goal, no matter their view.
Super cool.
10 minutes.
So are there any questions for Officer Junestad?
Thanks, sir.
All right, one in the back, just a second.
Yeah, I have a school board in Bay times and all. And, there was some problems we had like with Baldy and a few other places, shootings and all. And I suggested that one of my findings, as you call it, was to involve process and to a couple of teachers carrying concealed. If word got out that somebody in the school is carrying, that'd be a deterrent. But for some, others, if the situation were to arise, a teacher or a janitor or whatever would be first on scene, and because he had training with the police and all that stuff, he'd know what to do and what not to do. And he could take care of the situation long before police ever. What is your opinion on that?
That's actually a very good question. So the short answer is I'm for it. I've actually spoken with Sam Dockery, the high school principal, where he was in Texas, that they had that as well, and he was all for it. I am too. Without getting into too much of a conversation about the Second Amendment, the firearm is a tool. It's no different than a firearm if used properly as a purpose. If not, it can obviously have devastating effects. I am for that. I believe it needs to be done delicately and properly. So I would, the brief conversation I had with Mr. Dockery was that they come out and train with us. For state qualifications for law enforcement, we have to qualify 3 times a year. Our department qualifies 6. And that doesn't include the more rigorous qualification for our ERT team. So first of all, I believe the teacher would have to have the desire to do it. I don't want to put guns in the hand of anybody who doesn't.
Now, the principal would know who, everyone's talking, and
That's got it.
okay, and then he would know who's the hunters, who has firearms, etc. And he would talk to them confidentially. And then he talked to a couple of teachers or whatever. And then he talked to the school board members. Or and then to the police chief for training. And it would be an involved process of training, etc.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
And
like I was saying, putting him, it starts with comfort. If somebody isn't comfortable being in possession, I don't want them to carry a gun then. Because
a lot of us are comfortable with certain things.
Absolutely.
And others are terrified.
Yeah.
But so if you're comfortable and you don't say anything to anybody, and nobody knows who's carrying, and it's kept for one reason, and with no surprise in case it was a problem. And that's my opinion on what on a problem. I mean, one of the solutions for a problem.
Absolutely. Thank you. Going into that with speaking with Principal Dockery, even discussing it with him in the office of the buzzer they have in the door to allow entry into the school. I said, that's great. But if I'm coming into this school thinking worst case scenario, I'm not pushing the button. I'm coming through that big glass window. So I believe it was in Tennessee where they entered the church and had the shooting. They fired right through the window. They were secure doors. Everything had high-tech locks, everything like that. Didn't make any difference. Absolutely. So with having somebody comfortable with it, I think it starts there. Secondly, the big ugly word of liability comes in, and that's fine. Liability that comes in with the board and the school and the superintendent and things like that. I don't think there's any argument about the need for safety in schools. I don't think anybody's going to argue against that. I think that's a very valuable tool, and I'm all for it in the proper hands.
Wait till I get there.
Does Bandon Police Department currently have volunteers that help to support them on calls or anything?
Volunteers to support the department?
Yes. So for example, my mother-in-law in Arizona, she has been trained to support the police department on different calls and things like that.
So we have what we call a reserve program. We have 2 sworn reserves that go through the exact same training we do, except for the basic police academy, which is 16 weeks. They go through what's called a ROTA academy. It's a reserve academy. A little bit shorter, more focused on the laws of Oregon, state law, and things like that. They do work just alongside of us. If you saw us standing next to each other, they wear the same uniform, carry the same gun. Things like that they help us out with bigger events. They help us out to cover shifts if we're busy, parades, big festivals, things like that where we need. Absolutely. 2 reserves as of now, yes.
Any more questions? I don't think I have to talk that one into the mic.
No.
Last chance.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Great job.
All right. So that's our slate of Bandon school board members that we need to vote for.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
very much.
as Stan mentioned, it's really critically important to talk to our friends and neighbors. Because if we don't see these 3 win, then we're not going to have a good situation on the Bandon school board. We're going to see more of that transgenderism. I mean, that's the main thing they're coming after our kids with, is the Baphomet cult. And it has its origin thousands and thousands of years ago. It's the same thing. It's coming for our kids. And these guys will stand in the fore. Right. Chris Castleman is running for 2 positions. He's running for Coos Bay School Board, and he's also running for the SWAC Board. So that would be awesome if you win that. Great.
There you go. Well, here,
Welcome, Chris.
I'll clip you up and then you can talk into the microphone.
Not awesome for the liberals.
Correct.
I'm Chris Castleman. I don't know how many people in the room know me, so I don't know if I have to get back into my history. I'll touch on it a little bit. So I moved to the area about 3.5 years ago. I grew up in Pennsylvania in a town similar socioeconomically to this area. Well, not Bandon. Bandon's a little hoity-toity, but maybe Coos Bay. And I spent some time in New York, Buffalo, New York, and then some time in California. I owned a restaurant there. I was a ultra runner. I run like 30 to 50 miles in the mountains. It takes like a whole day to complete a race. So I did that semi-professionally for a while. Taught me a lot about myself and endurance and courage and preparation. But anyways, when I moved here, it was just like tail end of the COVID stuff. I had lost my restaurant in the COVID. Can I say bullshit?
Madness.
Madness. I stood my ground on the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates. I mean, like in California, they were going to make me check people's vaccination status to allow them into my restaurant. That's crazy. So I fought that battle. I won a little, I lost a little, and then I packed up in a Ford van and traveled the country. And I wanted to find a new place to live that had more people that made sense to me. Common sense isn't common in America, apparently, but it is still in some parts. And I found it here. I traveled to Florida, to Texas, to Montana, to everywhere, and I ended up passing through this area and just fell in love with the people. I stayed at Sturtevant Park in Coquille, met the camp host, ended up staying there for like a week, going to Uncle Randy's and Frazier's is it a deli or it's like a bakery? Yeah, and it sold. Hopefully they still keep the bakery. I like going there and getting bread. So anyways, I love this area. I love the people here, and that's why I moved here. And then shortly after moving here, there was this major disconnect. I had never really been political. I stood my ground with my restaurant during the COVID stuff, but I had never really been political, never gotten involved with school boards and county commissioner meetings and things. That was boring and weird to me to go and get involved in those things. But when I moved here and I met the people and I fell in love with the area and the people, I realized that there was a disconnect. Our leaders did not reflect what I felt I met out in the community. The views and opinions and the work ethic and the values of this county and this area of Oregon were not reflected, certainly not at the state level, but not in, like, you go to a Coos Bay City Council meeting or North Bend City Council meeting. It's the views are not what you find every day at the grocery store. So I talked to some people about it. I found this group. You guys were fighting at the time. Like they were bringing a bus in to Marshfield High School to give vaccines to the kids. And they were saying it was a flu vaccine bus, but you find out that it's a COVID vaccine and they're giving it to kids who are 14 without their parents' permission, things like that. So you guys were fighting that and that was awesome, but there wasn't enough battle at these leadership levels at the city council. So specifically around crime, I started standing up. I said, what I see out in this community is disgusting, it's embarrassing, it's unacceptable, and I think we can do something about it. I think we can change at the leadership level, but there's also things that the citizens can do. I mean, at this point, it's been a couple years later. We have a group of people who are well connected. When there's an issue, we go and investigate it. Like if there's a large encampment, right now there's a large encampment on the Coos Bay School Board property. So we've been there a couple times, interviewed the people, talked to the school board about it. There's not really much they care to do about it, which is part of the reason why I'm running. But anyways, so we even have cameras up to know when people are going onto that property so that we can nip it in the bud. If you let these people go in and set up their camps and rob Fred Meyer and take their loot back to the woods and divvy it out, it's a big problem. But if you can nip it in the bud, then it's taken care of. So I don't know, that was a longer history than I wanted to tell. But
So why are you running for the school?
So SWAC in particular is run by mostly Democrat liberal personalities, and it's reflected in the culture there. And the one big thing though, like if there's like 10 issues, that you could list that need to be taken care of at SWAC, the first 9 of them are the fact that there's a sex offender working there. A sex offender runs the GED program. He has been tutoring kids in the GED program, teaching them. He's now the director of that program since 2010, I believe. And he was convicted of molesting 2 of his students in Eugene and spent about 2 years in prison. And then very shortly after, I believe it was within a year, got hired at SWAC and has been there ever since. They covered it up. They hid it from the public. Not many people knew. It kind of broke on social media a few times here or there. Even when I heard about it, I went, yeah, right. Come on. No way. And boy, have I gone down the rabbit hole. And through investigating it, there's other people. I have investigated it, and I don't know how legally, you know, like, was I there? Did I see it? No. But when I talk to these women and they tell me their story of what they experienced at that college from that man, there are other incidences. And they're currently being investigated. One of them, there's a current open investigation at the college into an incident that happened. I'm being very ambiguous for reasons, but there's a process. And I do trust that process. I hope we can trust that process. And I hope it's followed through with. The last I heard is that something's being referred to the DA. I hope that works. You know, I hope that there's a process in place that we can trust in Coos County. So that being said, the pressure needs to be put on. And the pressure needs to be put on the people that created that situation. That man never should have been hired. He never should have been around our children. It's unacceptable, and they have defended it. You can read the letter. It's on their website. They believe in giving him second chances. And I believe in second chances too, but he had many chances. To be blunt, he was with these girls, molesting them on and off, back and forth, overlapping. Those were all his second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth chances. He should never be teaching students again. And I'm like shaking. It makes me so mad and so disgusted that our community has leaders that are allowing that. So that's a big issue. People say, well, you can't just run on one issue. Well, that's what I'm doing. Because that's a big enough issue. That's something to stand against. And no one's been successful yet. He still works there to this day. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm a conservative. You guys can ask me some questions about what that means to me, but you know, you mentioned the transgender stuff. It makes me really frustrated. It's not about being transgendered. If Marty over here, I don't care what gender you are, man. I really don't. But if you were born a man, please respect women's private spaces. Please have respect for them.
Yeah, Marty.
I know.
Marty. And if you're going to compete in sports, be respectful of the fact that you might have been born with a biological advantage, and respect that. And that's what it's about. It's not about being transgendered. It's about respect. And we need to teach our kids respect and bring that back to our community. We need people to have those conversations, like just the one I just had. That needs to be the conversation, because right now it's about, well, you know, there's parts of the population that are suicidal and they're really depressed and they're bullied, and that's great. I had a friend in high school who committed suicide. No one likes suicide. No one likes to be bullied. I'm a straight white male who was bullied, so it happens to everybody, okay? And it really pisses me off when they only care that it happens to certain types of population, okay? So if you want to be gay or transgendered, that's fine. I'm not here to control your life. I'm here to respect women's privacy and the right for women to compete in sports against people of their own biological gender. So like, that's one very conservative topic that needs to be out there and discussed. Didn't think I'd be bringing that up. Real quick, I wanted to get one more point in. The issue of taxing. There's a state law that allows school boards to elect to add a construction excise tax onto their district without a vote of the people. I don't think that that's fair, and it's going to be current. It's going to be something that the other school districts in the county are going to pursue, and I don't think it's right. So I'm going to be there to speak up against it, whether I'm on the board or not. But that's one reason I'm running for the Coos Bay School Board. I'm also running against Arnie Roblin, and if you know him, that's the reason I'm running.
Yeah.
We know you have passion, and there's a reason why you're running. What is your education background that you need to tell people what you're trained in and some of your education? So you're very good at what you do, but you need to let people know that, because it is important as a facet in your experience that could be added to a board.
Danessa is my hype man. Not to misgender her. My education. So I went to college for software engineering. I went to a liberal arts school, not that kind of liberal. Liberal in the sense that we had to take a semester in like everything. I took a semester in Native American religions, African American religions, the Constitution, modern European history from 1850 to present, Latin American history from 1850 to present. These are things you wouldn't normally get an education in. Biological anthropology, creationism, the opposite of that.
Yeah.
But you know, like, what do you learn in Latin American history from 1850 to present? Well, that was their transformative time where they moved from socialist countries into democracy. And it happened differently than it did in America. And that's very interesting. And why did they do it? And how did they do it? Some of them had, well, we've never had a woman president. And a lot of the Latin American countries have, or some of them. Right? Isn't the Mexican president female? Yeah. So they're a little more progressive than we are, actually. But anyway, so that sort of stuff's interesting. The Constitution course, incredible. I mean, we have a Constitution for a reason, and we need to respect it. So that's where I get my background. Was that helpful? I'm a software engineer, so I have that type of mind.
Uh-oh.
I told you she's my hype man.
Come on, you gotta market yourself. You sell yourself short.
Okay.
You moved here from a very lucrative type businesses in the past. And you come here and you're homesteading right now, right? And you're learning horticulture and things like that, that you're reinventing yourself. And that's really important to be able to adapt to your environment and those kind of things. And that's learning to transition to a different lifestyle because you chose to do that.
Well, don't say transition. That's a trigger word.
Yeah.
I'm homesteading. I live off grid. I believe it's important to be independent from the government, independent from a lot of things. You know, I believe in parallel societies, things like that, building networks, learning how to do things the old-fashioned way. I was a software engineer in San Francisco. I was pretty much everything but what I am now, glued to the computer, glued to your phone, living in a world where you can order anything and it'll show up and you can, very different life. And now I play in my garden and tinker with solar panels and come to events like this. So I don't know if does that help?
Chris. Yeah. You may not have picked up on this, but Danessa is actually your volunteer coach.
Yeah, she's also running with me.
Yeah. Anyway, question. Does that serial perpetrator realize that he is in your sights, that you're after him?
Oh yeah.
Does he know it?
And look, I'll be honest, I can't do anything as if I'm on the board of Board of Education, position 2 or whatever I be, like that doesn't grant me the magical power to fire a sex offender on campus.
It gives you a voice.
It absolutely gives me a voice. And I'm really, really disappointed. Politics aside, there are 7 people on that board and not one of them has spoken against it. And they have kicked me out of that room. They have escorted Tom and Nancy out of that room. They will not allow people to talk about it. You are literally not allowed to talk about it at a meeting. You will be escorted out. They see these people, they hide behind laws. They say, well, as a board member, I'm not allowed to speak about negatively about an employee. It's like, right, but you're allowed to speak about them, like you praise them. So it's only negative stuff. And that only affects you. Marty, I'm going to use Marty every time. Marty can come in and speak about an employee. Like that's not against the law. There's no law that says that, right? So they hide behind these fake laws. And we need more transparency. We need more community involvement. So Richard Coleman is running with Danessa and I. He came up with the slogan to talk about slogans. He said, let's put the community back in community college. And
there you go.
That's something we hope to do.
And the question is, what type of background investigation they do on that if you're in any violation? Because obviously working with students, things like just like law enforcement or anything, there's typically a pretty significant background check. You don't just allow that. Was he ever classified as a sex offender?
Yeah, he was classified as a sex offender up until believe it was September or November, he actually applied to get it exonerated, or he still has to register in other states if he were to move. So it's a special Oregon thing. Aren't we special like that?
Yeah, Oregon's a special.
But so as far as I've taken it, I'm working on the assumption that he was legally hired. Because if he wasn't, wow, that's a bombshell. What I've heard is that he was legally hired, that his parole officer was okay with it, that they deemed him as like nonviolent.
So he used his parole officer as a reference?
I would love to work with you or anybody to get it. Like I do a lot. Like, how do I, like, yes, we should look into this. More
Yes.
people, please help. We need help. Like, this is insane. We need to look into this. I can only do so much. Like, I'm currently out. We just got in touch with somebody else yesterday who came forward alleging things. So like, we're trying to work that angle because we need, as a community, we need to listen to these people. And there's, what I've uncovered, there's been over a decade's worth of abuse in our community, and that's not okay. So we need to repair that. If he was hired illegally, holy smokes. But
It's worth looking into.
I'm just
It
wondering
is.
what kind of, like, if he got to that point, I mean, obviously when.
I've requested certain documents that might help me understand that, and I've been shut down because they're private.
Interesting.
So, you know, like, somebody else wants to request them, that might help. But I agree, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what if when you look into what this guy did, I don't want, you know, people look it up, like, it's crazy. This wasn't a 21-year-old teacher who had a consensual relationship with their 17-year-old student. This was like a 25-year-old.
Once.
Right, one student. This was, yeah, bad. Very bad.
Was
Yeah.
he exonerated before he got the job?
No, not exonerated. So it's called a
Expunged.
post-conviction relief. You go and essentially say, like, to a judge, I've served my time. Like, I don't want to be a sex offender anymore. And some idiot judge decides that that's acceptable. I mean, it's not saying that what he did didn't happen. He did what he did. It's on his record. It wasn't like a retrial. I don't know. Does that make sense?
So were you allowed to ask if this person had to go through the fingerprint process?
Yeah, he's been a registered sex offender since, I guess, 2007 when he went to prison for it. I mean, up until a couple months ago. But he's still a sex offender. You don't you don't lose that. He just doesn't have to register. He's not forced by law to register every year. He's still a sex offender. In Oregon.
What do the laws in Oregon dictate in terms of working with children? Because even as a substitute teacher, I needed to do fingerprinting to be able to work with children.
They were aware of his history. This was not a situation where he snuck through the system. They were aware. Somebody.
Was there some kind of waiver done for him? And if so, can you ask who made that waiver? Was it the board or was it human resources?
I would love to work with you on this and get to, my take on it is what can we do? So say that happened. I don't think there's any legal recourse. I think the only thing to move forward to get this guy out of the community is to prove that he's done it again, because they've alleged that he hasn't. And by bringing this up, that he's done it again and proving it, then that's an new open case and you can be fired. Because what I read the law, it says, as soon as there's an allegation made, he has to be put on immediate paid leave and then an investigation done. And basis of that, you'd go to prison. I mean,
The ramifications also with the civil lawsuit from that victim's now, allowing an individual like that put into the position to be around students. The civil liability for the school alone.
which is unfortunate because we don't
Right.
need our community
that's a lower
college to
scale,
lose
but
money.
At the same time, the fact that he was allowed to be put into that position
It's bad.
to potentially prey on others is,
It's bad.
astounding.
And it opens up to a huge lawsuit.
I don't want the college to have a lawsuit. I think this man has done some things and he should pay for it. I think the board has enabled it and they should all resign respectfully. And we're going to help them.
Yeah, a little bit at a time. So any more questions?
We're over time.
We're done with time. So big hand for Chris. And just to let you know that Rob Taylor and Chris, and sometimes myself on Fridays, are normally ranting on the Rob Taylor report, where we delve into situations like this. And well, oddly enough, we rant. So,
Now he's gonna rave.
I'll market myself. I also do a Wednesday podcast every Wednesday, 6 o'clock on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. It's under this Coos County Citizen Council. So it's not just me, it's some other people, but thank you.
yeah. So there's more resources out there for, for what you can find out what's going on in the community and things like that.
This woman is a super patriot and dear friend who has run before for an office, now running for SWAC and the Coquille River Port Commission. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Vanessa?
I'll get a special clip, please.
Yes,
There you go.
Here's your
Clip
special
me up.
clip. Now I got to go find Chris to get his special clip. You got it.
Well, I can tell you, Citizens Restoring Liberty has given me a voice. It's like 5 years now we've been fighting, right? And so, Chris, you're my inspiration to run for SWAC. I would never have stepped up to that. I wouldn't have ever stepped up to be a representative in the place of David Brock Smith's position was open. I wouldn't have done any of that. But I know I've got to, because there's not very many people that are willing to do it or take the time. Time is energy, and you only have so much. But I started thinking about when Chris started to say things about what's happening on that campus. I'm like, oh my goodness. I went there when I transitioned from Pacific Lutheran to Oregon, University of Oregon. I came home. I was just tired of going to college. I went to Tacoma for 2 years to Pacific Lutheran. I came home and I said, Dad, I just want to go to work. He says, well, if you're coming home to work, you still have to take a couple classes. And I became a hostess at the port side and went to SWAC. I took a poetry and literature class and an art class just to say I was in college. And pretty much after that term of doing that, I went right back to college. I found out I needed to go farther. So I went back to the University of Oregon, got my management and finance degree. So I did go to SWAC for a while, and it did serve its purpose. And then I had a son that was gifted, and he ran out of math at his high school level because I pushed him from 7th grade on in math. So he had to go there his junior and senior year as a teenager. And then during COVID, my son Carter, my youngest one, he also, I started a homeschool co-op with 17 kids, and he was like a junior, and he was rebelling against mom. And I finally said, if you don't want to come to the homeschool co-op, you better get yourself a GED. And he went to SWAC, and he got it. So when I heard from Chris that what's going on in the campus and some of the things that our governor has been cramming down our throats, and I've been to Texas and I've seen some good education. We're at the bottom of the rung. It is bad.
We're number 50.
We're at the bottom. The system's broke, and I've seen it in Texas. And guess what? They just passed school choice in the state of Texas just this week.
Nice.
But I got a taste of Texas, and I don't like reinventing the wheel because it takes a lot of energy. So
What I saw in Texas, I thought worked. It's going to be hard to do. And if I'm on a board, maybe I can try. But I really do believe in merit-based education and merit-based hiring. They used to hold back 15% of the teachers' salaries so that all the kids would pass their tests. If they passed their tests, they got their bonus of the 15%. I saw my son go to Texas A&M, and they have 12 modules in engineering, and if they don't pass the first one, they can't go to the second. I saw my son go through mathnasium because he was very deficient coming from Oregon, he was 2 years behind in math to Texas. The teacher said he needs help. I had to go buy mathnasium, and he also did Sylvan here, which was awesome. It did work, Sylvan worked. But the mathnasium, same thing. Oh, I can tell you, a little boy that's probably second or third grade couldn't do his math times tables or nothing. Couldn't memorize them. They kept saying he had a special ESP or special individual program or something like that. Medically, he had it, and they gave him every excuse why not to do it. I tell you what, when you got a little college girl teaching 4 to 5 boys and them coming to her class for about an hour after school, I'm telling you, I saw that little boy take off, and he learned the math tables just because there was a cute little college girl teaching, right? But he couldn't pass anything until you got 85%. You didn't get the next lesson plan. You just kept doing the same lesson plan, maybe different problems, but the same lesson plan. So education's a big thing for me, and I tell you what, it was the most challenging thing when I did homeschool co-op and did the curriculum and did the facilities with the online streaming and stuff. And I think I can bring that back to SWAC because I think as a business person, I know the workforce is very deficient in skills. We need more certifications. I wish all my people were trained in driving a jitney or a forklift or something of that nature, or first aid training, or the new one is AI. And I if I could shorten my day and write papers quicker and get things out faster, I would love it. I would take a class like that as a business person, how to market my business. Those are the things that we need to go around to all the businesses and say, hey, what do you need for employees? What do you need to get your skills better, to be more profitable? How to do more with less? How to do those things. So that's why I'm running for school board. That was a long story, but yeah, that's pretty much what. And then I'm running for the port. The port, there's a couple cattlemen on there, and there's a couple people that, quite honestly, were just yes votes. And I'm running in that shoe right now. They had a teenager on there, pretty much, a young girl that just didn't do any homework, didn't add to the board, and we need change. I would like to do a drone over, historical drone over, they get about $250,000 every year for the port of Coquille. I would like to do a historical study of all the erosion coming up and down, because all the paperwork and everything in the whole, the port is all old studies, and those are all obsolete. And we do need to document how much erosion. That's one. I'd also like to help with some of the boat ramps and also get a fish cleaning station in the Myrtle Point port. So those are a couple things there. I'm a rancher, an entrepreneur. I own several businesses, both in hospitality. I sell tractors. I'm busy, but I know that if someone doesn't step up and fill these places and give a little of their time, whether it's, twice a month or You know, if there's meetings that are needed, I know sometimes it gets really heated. I feel really sorry for the North Bend School Board because they had to spend a lot of time on what they did. But trying to get fresh ideas out there and change up what we have right now. There's a lot of people that have been in these positions. I'm running against a lady in Brookings that's 70 years old, and I just don't think she's relevant to the change that we have. And my motto is learn to learn, because then you can adapt to what's coming in our future. So, any questions?
All right, hands up. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, Rob.
Wait. We'll start over here
Oh,
first.
no, okay.
I really appreciate your last statement about learn to learn, because because we did homeschool our kids, and that was like the number one thing, is to give them the tools to learn the rest of their lives. And that's because there's all these new things coming up, and do you see SWAC getting on board with AI, and like, how are you going to encourage some of these new ideas coming in since you're replacing the 80-year-old?
Well, well, I know one person that's really good at it, and that's Michaela. If I could get her to teach a college class on AI, she has been pretty cutting edge on creating memes to writing stuff. She's active on X and a lot of different social medias. I actually have someone in my business right now. She's younger than me. She's a hairdresser, and she posts for my businesses and stuff. It's learning how to get out there and get your market, your product or your business and those kind of things. Well, she does it for me because I don't do that very well. I take nice pictures and stuff, but the thing is I do radio, and that is. So I did a radio ad. I have baby chicks in my office. So I basically said, please help me. I can't concentrate. I have all this peeping. And you know how many people came today? It just, people related to it. I mean, it was a cute story. It's how you market yourself, and how, you know, Chris just sold himself short. I'm getting to the point where selling yourself is a very hard thing. It doesn't come to you naturally. It's something you have to learn. Well, yeah, it's like going to a cocktail party and you don't know anyone there, and you got to mingle with every one of them and get their names and figure out what they do and what you can do for them. That's really stepping out there. That's cold calling. But you got to do that when you're starting a business. You have to ask the questions. You got to get to know people. It's just a class on entrepreneurship and selling yourself. There's a lot of kids, I torture them, especially 4-Hers, when they come and, will you buy my animal? I mean, they're fidgeting and they won't look you in the eye. I say, come on, I'm right here. Shake my hand, and you better mean it. So a lot of that is just, how do you sell yourself, and don't sell yourself short. Because this world is cold out there, and once you get an education, it doesn't mean you got a job. And so you have to be out there marketing yourself, whether it's for politics or you got to stay alive. You got to put food on the table. So we have to learn how to do that here in this county, and how do we empower teenagers all the way to adults, whether they're changing their lives or they're just getting an education for their next milestone. They might not even ever use that education. How many actually use the education they went for? There's a lot of people that went to college that are not even using what they were trained in. That's why I said that learn to learn stuff is very, very important. And we just have to make sure the college is open for that. And there's a lot of people that have learning disabilities and those kind of things, and we have to accommodate them, whether we tutor them or we do assessments about their reading skills and their math skills beforehand. And if they're deficient in those things, make sure there's open labs or tutors that can help them. But you have to empower these people that they can do something, because there's a lot of people that have been bullying them and telling them why they can't do something. And you've got to give them the opportunity to do it. The other thing is you need to get them jobs. If you can figure out how to get them in a job and they don't come out with a lot of debt, that's another thing. A lot of these kids have been deceived with all these colleges. And I saw something in Baylor. What they did is the kids all painted the town, all the bad part of town, they painted these houses. That's what they did in the summer for their summer jobs. They painted their community. And they got paid for it, but not a whole lot, but it was enough to pay down all their loans and their housing and all that kind of stuff.
More questions.
I wanted to know if you wanted to buy my animal.
Come on, you gotta shake my hand.
Then you said, "Hey, you want to buy an animal?"
Yeah. Arrgh.
So, harking back to housing, you on the Port of Coquille, I know the Port of Bandon has quite a bit of property. I know that a lot of the ports have property, and a lot of the people on the board don't have a clue how much property they have. And I would ask that if you get in there, you please do an inventory and then consider taking unused property, or would you consider taking unused property, selling it back into the free market, real estate market, not keeping it on for the port, but selling it to the market? Would that be something you think the port should consider?
I've had a conversation with another lady that she said, "Oh, if I would have known you were doing slates, I would have signed up with you." And her name is Renewal Allen Morris. And she used to be on the port. She said that the airport is part of, up in Powers is part of the port. And they can't do anything with it. Guess why? It is a huge Indian artifact grounds. They can't break ground, they can't do nothing with it. And they have to mow it all the time and maintain it and all that. That's just a drain on the whole thing. We got to figure out what to do. Well, sell it to the Indians. I don't know. That might be an idea. But that is one thing to think about. They like to drive their little RC cars and their little RC planes and stuff off of there, because there's a whole group of them up there in Powers. I'm not against that, but the problem is, that's why they're on the board of the port, a couple of them. And I'm like, this should be, what they have done in the past. One of the lady that I told you that she's running again, that Renell, she actually wrote the grant to put a lot of those incubator businesses that are in the Myrtle Point. So those start people in small businesses like detailing a car or maintenance or I don't know. They're building another building down there right now, but you know, when you have $250,000, there's not so much you can do. But hopefully, it doesn't get all absorbed in a secretary and all, you know, the administration of a port. So the first thing I've told people to do when they get on a board, go do a walking tour of what you're responsible for. Find out if they're maintaining it properly, what's involved in the assets. It's the same thing as a business. What do you got? What's making money? Are you been collecting all your rents? Are we have bad, you know, should we be kicking some people out that aren't paying their rents? Because there is rents from those. That's how they've been getting extra money, is through the incubators. I think it's very important because that's part of the job of the port, is to facilitate commerce. So and that's kind of what I do. So I like to develop property. I hold a lot of property, both commercially, industrial, and ag, and residential. So I know all about selling property and buying it.
And rehabbing.
And rehabilitating it, yes. Any other questions?
Have
Hi,
my,
Jim.
Hold on. Have Mike will travel.
Unrelated question.
Mhm.
When you get your ballot and you have all these different boards, and all these different names that you're not familiar with, how do you tell which one is conservative and which one's liberal? Is there a way of deciphering that?
Well, we were just at a GOP meeting last night, and they weren't going to fund it, but now they're thinking about funding it. At least like a conservative values, a list of conservative candidates. So we're going to try to do one and put it in the shopper. We'll probably hit around the 1st of May if we can all decide on who they are. Okay, that is part of the problem. But
It's currently off.
if you want to ask me, you can call me and I can tell you who to vote for if you want, because I've had a lot of people do that. The other thing is, there is a list going around. I think Marty has one. I have one. We all know who the Republicans are. We know who the Libertarians are. We know who the Conservatives are from the previous vote. So if you have a question about a candidate, that is the hard part. Because I'll tell you, you have a candidate that's running for the hospital that says he's a Republican and he's married to Cribbins.
Oh, no.
Hey.
So if I may, I'd like to speak to that question, Jim. On the county website, if you go to the clerk's department, and then in the clerk, you go to elections, in the elections section of the website, there is a list of current candidates.
Correct.
And if you go and look at that list, every single candidate there has an email address and a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
You can look those up and you can call them. That's what I do. If I don't know, I look them up and I call them.
The other one is I filled out a survey for 411, which I really didn't want to do, but that's the League of Women Voters. That should be coming out. The other one I filled out, which I was really impressed with their questionnaire. Have you ever heard of Riverview Political Action Crew? So it's the acronym is PAC, but they're not really a PAC. But they put out a questionnaire, and they're a Christian organization. Riverview has that big school. Yes, so this is a lot of the people that are part of that process. Well, you know what? It made it really easy to fill out that flyer. After I answered all their questions, there were about 9. It basically outlined my campaign. So I just basically reworded it a little bit and put it on my flyer because I already did the thought process, right? But I wish I had AI, because that would have made my life so much easier. But yes,
a lot of AI out there.
Yes. Oh, there's one last thing that I have to tell you guys, if you want to look it up. I did this last week. I have a case with the Oregon Supreme Court against Val Hoyer for campaign finance fraud. And there's one for Tina Kotek by Donna Smith called Oust Tina. And there's another one against Whitmer. And we actually have the strongest, we have some of the strongest laws in in Oregon for campaigns, and out of the other states.
They're just not following.
Yes, they're not following it. So we are the guinea pigs right now. We've got people from Utah and Washington and Hawaii that are all, you know, when you get people behind you and give you ideas and this is what we did, this didn't work. I mean, how many times did we go after COVID here in this county? I mean, how many arrows did we have to shoot? How many protests did we have to do? We still have to get out there and still fight the good fight. And I really felt that Brunson brothers had a very good case. It just, we don't have the Supreme Court. We're finding out our judicial system is kind of broken.
Kind of broken.
But right now, public opinion is the most important thing right now. And this is, you guys have seen the laws that are coming through. Even if we get on these boards, we still have to deal with these laws with DEI and transgenderism and climate change and all that kind of stuff that our governor is basically defying executive orders. So I just feel like, hey, if I get on that board and the tide will turn, I can help here too, even though we'll probably be the last state to turn. So we're still fighting the fight.
Thank you. I have my clip back.
Thanks.
Chris, Matt, David's gone. Stan, thank you all for stepping into the ring. And Godspeed to you all. We're way past time. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And watch for that text
In stereo.
for next month. Speaker yet to be determined. I'm not going to say it until I confirm him, but it's going to be fascinating, especially if you're interested in forestry and revenues for public agencies. All right, Rob, thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate you spending the thing, and yeah, Loris.
Also, you can contact opening party because Michael Brainerd keeps track of how those in the Republican Democrats vote on issues.
Okay.
He's very knowledgeable on that, so that's another resource that you can go to.
Yeah, so contact the local Republican Party. Michael Brainerd is tracking on who's vote worthy and who is not. So, all right. Thank you all for being here tonight. Let me just close this in prayer real quick. Father, thank you for your grace here tonight. Thank you for allowing us to gather here together, Lord. We pray that you would take what we've heard and learned here tonight and that you would facilitate us to propel out into the community and advance the cause of morality and values and community and all the conservative principles that we know are the truth. Help us and empower us to carry them out. And we ask for it all in Jesus' name. Thank you. Amen. All right. Thank you, guys. God bless you all.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Good.
Hey. So there we go. Another Friday night on the Rob Taylor Report. I think we're out of here. It looks like we're out of here. And anyone who wants to meet us, we're heading over to the Broken Anchor, I believe. Tequila's on you. So like I always say, folks, carry on, Coos County. Carry on.